Am I wrong for kicking out my girlfriend and her son after she invited her ex into our home? I, 35 male, and my girlfriend Sarah, 35 female, have been together for 4 years. She has a son, Nathan, 9 male, with her ex, Mark, 36 male. Sarah has full custody of Nathan, with her ex having scheduled visitations one weekend of every month. Sarah and Nathan moved in with me a little over a year and a half ago, and in my perspective, it was a little rocky at first. I've always been pretty protective of my space, so making room for 2 people have been difficult for me. When Sarah moved in with me, we agreed that the visitations from Mark would be held in our apartment as long as I'm home. The main reason I wanted this is because I don't know Mark that well, and I don't want him wandering around our apartment without me there. When we proposed this idea to Mark, he was fine with it. Now, moving on to the real issue. 3 weeks ago marked 4 months since Mark's last visit, so I had asked Sarah when he was planning on visiting Nathan. My girlfriend replied by shrugging her shoulders and telling me that she'd ask. She never followed up with it. So a few days ago, I asked when Mark's next visit was, and Sarah said she'd tell me when she knew. Nathan was in the living room, but had apparently overheard us and shouted something along the lines of, "Dad was here last weekend, remember?" Sarah's face immediately dropped, and when I asked what Nathan meant, she wouldn't give me a direct answer. Eventually, she ended up telling me that for the past 2 visits, Mark had been to our apartment when I was working. When I accused her of going back on our agreement, she kept telling me that this was her home too and she could invite whoever she wanted, and that it was fine because she was there and watching. Even if it's your home too, doesn't matter. You always check in with your partner before you invite someone over. It's like common courtesy. It's called respect. It's called a relationship. I told her that was besides the point and she violated my trust. It blew up into a huge argument, which ended in me telling her to get out of my apartment. She packed up and left with Nathan. Last I heard, she was staying with her parents. I've gotten several messages from both Sarah and her parents calling me an asshole for kicking Sarah and Nathan out of their home for something so small. She's even been blasting me on Instagram and Facebook about how horrible I am to do this to her. It's got me thinking I might be the asshole, but I'm not entirely sure yet. So, am I the asshole? She lied to your face! If she felt like she had done nothing wrong, she would have told you. Definitely some sussy stuff happened those 2 times he was here. My ex-fiancé tried to get my wife to cheat on me. I think my ex-fiancé, Jess, 31 female, might have tried to get my wife, Olivia, 30 female, drunk and cheat on me. My wife thinks I'm overreacting and overthinking the whole situation. Can someone please tell me if I would be an asshole to ask Olivia to stop being friends with Jess immediately? Ooh, I'm not really big on being friends with exes unless you have children together. For context, Jess and I started dating during the sophomore year of our college. We met through mutual friends and connected instantly. She was charming and outgoing and made friends everywhere she went. I am more shy and nerdy, but I enjoyed going out to parties with her. We got engaged on our graduation day as both our families were attending. I got a job in a big tech company right after college, and Jess moved in with me while looking for jobs. This is when the relationship started going downhill. Jess was an art major and had trouble finding a stable job. She did a bunch of freelance work and mostly worked from home. I was overwhelmed with work. She always wanted to go out to bars and clubs, and I wanted to rest in the evening after 10 to 12 hours of work. I was okay with her going out with friends alone, and I would sometimes tag along on the weekend. It bothered me that she was still in her party girl phase. She complained that I was becoming boring and should enjoy my early 20s before we settled down. I was also not happy with the friends she hung out with, as there was a lot of drinking and drug use. Even when I went out with her friends, she would be extremely flirty with guys in her friends group. Her excuse was always that she gets flirty when she is drunk or she was just joking. I had enough and decided to call off the engagement after 2 years, as we were just different people at that point. The breakup was messy and she kept trying to get back with me for almost a year. There were some incidences where Jess may not have acted in her best judgment, and I blocked her from all my social media. I didn't want to deal with all the drama and wanted to move on. I also got a transfer to another town around the same time and never heard from Jess again. This is when I started dating my wife, Olivia. My wife was the exact opposite of Jess. She was very soft-spoken and a homebody like me. She knew I was engaged before. We dated for 3 years and happily married for 2 now. However, one of the sticking points we always had was my Thursday nights. 3 of my closest college friends are now scattered all across the country, and we generally play a video game together on Thursday evenings since our college days. Olivia complained that she gets bored during that time. About 6 months ago, Olivia told me she got a Facebook invite for a group where they had painting and wine nights on Thursdays. It was mostly 8 to 10 women who got together at someone's house and spent the evening painting, drinking wine, and gossiping. According to Olivia, it was just a few housewives and divorcees, and they welcomed her. One of the women's names was Jess, but I did not think much of it. 2 weeks ago, Olivia told me it was Jess's birthday and they wanted a ladies' night at a club. Olivia hates loud music, but Jess convinced her to come for dinner and some drinks. On that night, I got a call from Olivia at 10 p.m. asking me if I could come and pick her up. I could tell something was wrong and immediately left to get her. I went to the bar and went to pick up Olivia. I was shocked when I realized that her friend Jess was my ex-fiancée. She also looked surprised to see me there. I was polite and said hello to everyone, but Olivia wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. After we went in the car, I told Olivia that Jess was my ex-fiancé, whom I had not seen in almost 7 years. Olivia was shocked to hear it and she didn't know about it. It was crazy because I didn't even know that she lived in the same city as us. Olivia told me Jess was the one who started the painting group. She had divorced her husband 2 years ago and moved to our city for a fresh start. The reason why she called me was because she was getting uncomfortable with the situation at the bar. Since Jess and one of the other women were single, they kept on encouraging guys hitting on them and inviting them over to their table. Jess was trying to get everyone drunk and was asking Olivia to open up and have fun. She was constantly hyping up Olivia to 2 of the guys who bought them a round of drinks. At this point, Olivia excused herself to go to the restroom and called me to pick her up. I am not happy with the situation, but I am also not mad at Olivia. I'm just uncomfortable with Olivia hanging out with Jess. I told Olivia about the same. Olivia told me she was never going to put herself in the same situation again with Jess or anyone else. Also, this friend group is the only real social life she's had since we are both completely new to the city. She does not want to stop going to her painting nights with her friends. I brought up the thought that Jess could be acting in malice, but Olivia told me she did not think Jess would know I was her husband, as Olivia never showed my picture to anyone in the friend group. She also said it had been 7 years since we broke up. Jess is a kind person and I should not judge her based on one night when she was drunk. She still wants to stay friends with Jess. On one hand, I don't want to separate Olivia from her friends, but my gut feeling is telling me something is off in the situation. Besides, it feels weird to have my ex be friends with my wife. Am I the asshole to want to stop Olivia from being friends with Jess because of my gut feeling? Or should I just let it go as it's Olivia's call to make? Not a coincidence, 1000% planned. And I don't know, if it's my ex, I have a right to say if you get to be friends with them or not. And I say, no, it's no. Am I wrong for getting another table for me and my daughter after my husband and his family refused to let her sit at their table with her teddy bear? My daughter 10, best friend 11, passed away from leukemia very recently. She is devastated beyond measure. She started carrying around the teddy bear her friend gave her as a way to soothe her and control her anxiety. My husband, her stepdad, thinks it's ridiculous, especially when she takes it with her to public places. But we don't hear weird comments from anyone about it. Still, he thought this was ridiculous and classified it as a behavioral issue. My husband's birthday was yesterday. He told me to meet him at the restaurant. I obviously brought my daughter and she brought her teddy bear. The moment my husband and his mom saw it, their faces went pale. As I was taking my seat, my mother-in-law flat out said that she was sorry, but she couldn't allow my daughter to sit at the table with important guests with the teddy bear. I asked where were the guests and she said that they should show up in about 10 minutes. My husband backed her up and told me to just put the teddy bear in the car, but instead of doing that, I went and sat with my daughter at another table. My husband was shocked but didn't say anything. He and his family watched. As guests started to arrive, they recognized me and came to greet me and asked why I was sitting at a separate table with my daughter. I told them the story and one by one, they started joining me. I didn't know how this happened. My husband and his mom were furious by this. Eventually, only he, his mom, brothers, and their significant others were at that table. The other guests sat with us. It was so overwhelming, but my daughter enjoyed the attention they were giving her by asking her about the teddy bear. My husband and in-laws got up and left 30 minutes later. I went home later and my husband wasn't there. He and his mom left me some texts calling me petty and accusing me of not only ruining his birthday, but turning his relatives against him and stealing his guests. He mentioned I could have left the toy in the car, but chose to be petty and disrespectful. Now the outcome is awful. He's still at his parents' house and is pretty much pissed off. Am I wrong for ruining my sister-in-law's birthday dinner because she encouraged her kids to pull a prank? My husband and I, both 38, went to my sister-in-law's house for her birthday. It's quite a long drive, so we drove up the day before and stayed overnight in their spare room. She has 2 kids aged 4 and 7. Husband and I went in separate cars as we were coming from different workplaces to get there. I am very short-sighted and literally can't see 1 foot in front of my face without my glasses. Every night I take them off and put them on the nightstand right where I know I can reach them in the morning. Now, apparently a sister-in-law thought it would be a funny prank to get her kids to sneak into the room. I sleep with earplugs and because my husband is a loud snorer, and take and hide my glasses. In the morning of her birthday, I couldn't find my glasses on the nightstand. I had asked my husband to help in case they had fallen off and under the bed or something, but we couldn't find them anywhere. I was really distraught because, as I said, I'm literally almost non-functional without them. Husband helped me down to breakfast and I explained that I wouldn't be able to take part in the meal midday, nearby restaurant, and couldn't drive myself home. I was really upset. They are also expensive glasses because I have to get the lenses thinned, so about $600. Sister-in-law let this go on until they were literally about to go for her birthday lunch. I'd not been able to do much at all up until this point because I can't see. Then she jokingly said to her kids, "Okay, that's enough, I think. Go get them." And the kids ran off to fetch my glasses from where they had hidden them. She said to not blame them at all. I don't-ish. And it was her idea and just a bit of harmless fun. I put my glasses on, got in my car, said nothing at all, and just drove home. My husband is on my side and apologized on sister-in-law's behalf, saying that she thought I would see the funny side. He is very apologetic and offered to skip her birthday meal as well and come home, but he is being apologetic, not her. I've heard nothing from sister-in-law except from an angry WhatsApp message to the group, not directly to me but to the family group, saying that her birthday had been ruined because someone couldn't take a joke. Apparently, after I left, she had a meltdown about how the day was ruined because I drove off and the kids were upset. It is genuinely distressing for me to not be able to see, but I see how she might have thought this would be funny to get her kids to do. So, am I the asshole? So, pranks are supposed to be funny. What part of this was funny? I don't understand. I mean, if you had let it go on for like 5 minutes, oh my God, where are my glasses? Haha, okay, but for it to go on for hours and knowingly that you can't see, that's not like you disabled her. That's not a joke. That's like taking the crutches from someone who broke their foot. That's not funny.
Am I in the wrong for ignoring my friend's phone calls after she invited herself, her spouse, her children, and her friends to my home for an impromptu barbecue without my permission? My friend is having a hard time with her spouse and really needs someone to be there for her while they work through their issues. We only just recently reconnected after not speaking for 4 years. Now, every time she calls, she asks me what I'm doing for the day or at that moment, and then invites herself, her family of 4, and some other friends over to my house. For example, Friday was her spouse's birthday. Monday, she told me that her plan was to take him to dinner. Then she calls me Friday morning asking what I was doing. I told her that I was just watching a movie on my couch. Then she says, I know it's last minute, but I want to come over for a barbecue at your house. She said that the kids could play together and we could hang out and have some drinks. I hesitated initially and then told her that I don't really have a lot of meat here, nor was my home company ready. She responded that she would grab some more food and do all of the cooking. Then I said, okay. I cleaned up a little bit and then I received a second call. She excitedly told me that she invited a guy friend and he may bring a friend for me to talk to, and a female friend of hers was also coming. I was so shocked that she was trying to throw a party, not just come over and hang out with just her family like she implied during the first call. Her family already was 4 people that I was not expecting, which would have made a total of 8 people including my own children. I have only met 2 of the 3 people that she invited. She didn't even ask if she could invite anyone else to my home or give out my address. Luckily, I got a phone call on the other line and I told her that I'd call her back. 2 hours passed by and she called me repeatedly. I decided to text her that something came up and I can't host a party for her husband. I didn't receive a response. I waited another 2 hours and then called her to see how the barbecue party was going. She told me that she didn't even have the barbecue party. I asked her why she didn't ask her friends to come to her apartment since she has her own barbecue grill, and why didn't she at least go out to dinner like she originally planned. She literally didn't even answer the first question, but said that she didn't want to spend a lot of money on going out to eat. So am I in the wrong for making up an excuse to end the call and then ignoring all of her repeated calls to confirm?